In the ancient kingdom of Vardhana, there lived a wise and humble man named Kavi. He was known for his intelligence, skills, and hard work, but unlike others who sought recognition, Kavi never boasted about his achievements. He believed that true success did not require loud proclamations, rather, it spoke for itself through actions. Vardhana was a prosperous land ruled by King Dhiren, a just and noble ruler who valued wisdom over wealth. He often held grand gatherings where scholars, warriors, and traders would present their accomplishments. These events became competitions of sorts, where people tried to outshine one another, speaking of their riches, victories, and intelligence. However, Kavi never participated. He continued his work in silence, running a modest trade and helping those in need without seeking attention. One day, an ambitious young man named Viraj arrived in Vardhana. He was a merchant's son and had traveled far and wide. Unlike Kavi, Viraj loved to boast about his wealth, his business acumen, and his connections with powerful men. He would gather crowds in the marketplace, speaking loudly about how he made vast fortunes and how his name was known in many kingdoms. Success must be seen and celebrated, he often declared. What is the point of greatness if no one knows of it? Many people admired Viraj's confidence, and soon, he became well known in Vardhana. Some even began to follow his ways, believing that speaking of success was as important as achieving it. Yet, there were also those who watched Kavi, noticing how his quiet dedication bore results without unnecessary noise. One day, the king announced a great challenge. He sought a new royal treasurer, someone wise, patient, and skilled in handling wealth. The candidates had to manage a small sum of gold and multiply it within a year. The one who proved most capable would earn the prestigious title. Many people, including Viraj, eagerly applied. Kavi, despite his reluctance for fame, was also encouraged to participate by the townspeople who respected him. Each candidate received an equal amount of gold and was sent off to prove their abilities. Viraj immediately started his work, making grand investments and boasting of his future success. He threw lavish parties to gain powerful allies, spent money to impress nobles, and announced that he would soon double his wealth. People admired his boldness, believing he was destined to win. Kavi, on the other hand, quietly assessed the best use of the gold. He did not seek quick riches or public approval. Instead, he invested in small but necessary trades, buying grain from farmers and selling it during scarcity, helping struggling craftsmen expand their work in return for future profits, and supporting honest traders who needed capital. His work was slow and unseen, but steady. Months passed, and Viraj continued to flaunt his apparent success. He dressed in finer clothes, spoke of his growing influence, and gained the attention of ministers and nobles. However, he had spent much of his gold on appearances, and his investments, though grand, were unstable. But his confidence never wavered, for he believed that perception mattered more than reality. Kavi, meanwhile, remained unnoticed. He worked from the shadows, ensuring that every coin he spent would bring long-term growth. He never rushed, nor did he seek validation. Many forgot he was even part of the challenge, for he neither advertised his success nor sought admiration. When the year ended, the candidates were summoned to present their results before the king. The grand hall was filled with anticipation as Viraj entered with pride, wearing fine robes and surrounded by admirers. He confidently placed his gold before the king and declared, "My investments have brought much fame and influence. I have turned the gold into wealth that will continue to grow." The king nodded, then turned to Kavi, who had arrived alone and without grandeur. Quietly, Kavi placed his earnings before the king. His gold had more than doubled, but beyond that, he had built lasting trade networks, supported farmers, and uplifted struggling craftsmen. His wealth was not just in coin, but in the prosperity he had created for others. The hall fell silent. The difference between the two men was clear. One had sought success for display, while the other had built something real and sustainable. The king stood, his voice firm yet kind. "True success," he said, "does not need to be announced. It stands strong on its own. Kavi, your wisdom and quiet perseverance have proven your worth." Viraj's confidence wavered as he realized his mistake. He had spent more time talking about his success than building it. Though he had gained temporary admiration, his wealth was fleeting. Meanwhile, Kavi, who never sought recognition, had achieved far more. King Dairon awarded Kavi the position of royal treasurer, not just for his financial wisdom, but for his humility and patience. Kavi accepted the honor with gratitude, though he continued his ways, never boasting, never seeking unnecessary attention. His quiet success became a lesson for all in Vardhana, that true greatness does not need to be shouted from rooftops. Viraj, humbled by his failure, left the kingdom to start anew, this time choosing to work in silence rather than seeking fame. Over time, he learned that wisdom and perseverance were far greater than mere words. And so, the lesson remained: those who truly succeed do not need to show off. Their work speaks for itself, and in the end, it is not the loudest who win, but the wisest.